We'll start with Coach and then take questions.
Well, I hope you guys had a nice Christmas. Hope you have a very prosperous and safe and healthy new year. These are some very interesting times that college sports are going through these days, especially basketball. A lot of interesting things going on. It's kind of hard to, digest all of it. And we're just trying to go with the flow and try to stay safe and stay with the protocol. This is starting out to be kind of like it was last year, but you don't know kind of what to expect, especially with the pandemic. So many kids have missed games and happened right during the middle of Christmas. So one thing that I don't think I did a very good job of last year, last year we had so many issues that we just kind of took it. We had to find a way to get tough through it. But I had the last number of years, I've had veterans. I've had older, more mature guys that I felt comfortable challenging them to rise to the occasion and just kind of utilize this as a kind of a growing up period for them as young men. But I'm not really sure I understood the toll that the isolation took on our players. The isolation, the not going home, the not being able to do the things that they normally, young people like to do. And I found that they were able to get through it last year because it was maybe a one-time occurrence, so to speak, that they didn't feel like. But when it came back around this year, I saw some different kind of eyes, some different facial expressions, some wow, here we go again. And I probably should have been a little more sensitive to the eyes of the young people. And this year we've tried to be more communicative and more have more dialogue and try to help them get through this period we're going through. And from a coaching standpoint, it's been somewhat challenging as to how we keep our young people safe. How do we keep them healthy with a variant that doesn't necessarily have symptoms? And so I hear that some schools are testing when they feel like a kid's having a symptom. But most of the people who have the virus don't have symptoms. So how does that work? If I would say 85% of our players who were affected didn't have any symptoms. So if we were not tested on a regular basis, I would not have known that they had symptoms. I had the virus and I didn't have any symptoms at all whatsoever. So does that mean had I not been tested, I would have been participating, contagious, spreading it to somebody else? So my main concern was not wanting my players to go home and infect their parents. Initially, we came out of South Carolina, and we had a kid with a sniffle, thought it was a cold, it's a virus. So we tested everybody, 2 or 3 more guys. Negative, negative, negative. Another person pop up. Never test again, 3 more pop up. So I'm wondering if we don't test, we don't find that out, then we don't isolate them, and then we were vigorously and aggressively tested to do what I thought was the right thing. I'm concerned about not having a uniform testing philosophy. that we all in college basketball can go by. But that's difficult because each city, each state, each community has the option to set their own guidelines. And it concerns me because I don't know where we're going. And I don't know other than to follow the direction. And I do believe this, that our people in the ACC, and I know we're at Florida State, they have been just tremendous in, communicating with the scientists and the health professionals. I mean, we felt that we have been taken care of as well as any. We've gotten the right advice. Our kids have been responded. I think we've been able to get through it, but the whole climate of basketball, the big picture of basketball, I'm just curious as to where we are with so many different people making decisions about what we're doing is concerning. I feel comfortable that we in a pretty good place at this particular point. Probably and you guys have been around, those who guys, Clark, you've been around for a while, this is probably the youngest team that we've had in a while. It kind of crept up on us, if that's the right word, with the way, the climate of college basketball, kids aggressively, one and done, two and out, and now you get to, and you try to anticipate the process, and sometimes you don't calculate things correctly, and you end up, with more inexperience than experience. But that's the fun part of getting guys together and getting them to mature faster, and the experienced guys you have working harder to be better teachers and leaders. It's been a long time since we've been at this stage, but I love the team. I love the attitudes. I love our potential, and I think that we probably about as ready to get back started as anything. I think we're anxious to figure out where we are and who we are and how we compare to where we've been in the past, and to find out how competitive we can be in what I think what seems to be another aggressive, unpredictable ACC race. That's a pretty long statement, huh? I had to give my lady friend something to chew on. She's always, she'll come with an angle,
We'll go to Kurt Weiler first.
Why Kurt?
Hey, Leonard.
He got that dog licking him on the mouth. I don't know about that. You might go take it. You go brush your teeth, man.
I'll do that after. Yeah, I guess what are you able to share information-wise? I mean, how many days in all were you out of practice, out of the facility? And I guess, are you expecting to be back at full strength for Saturday?
No, I don't think. I think it's going to be a while before any of us get back in full strength. You can't go that many days without practices, and then you can isolate them and let them be in one person in the gym and the floor at the same time by itself, and you got all types of things. It's going to be a little challenging for everybody. So and I know for a fact that we tested enough that I feel comfortable though that our kids are healthy, that they've been treated right, that we've been on top of it. Like most teams, if you're in the same place and the thing is so contagious, just about everybody on everybody's team gonna have it at some point in time. The only thing I can say, it was probably best that it happened to us during the Christmas break when we were here, and unfortunately we couldn't go home for Christmas, but we could spread out, isolate, and kids could do individual things, but we had to be isolated. We couldn't be around anybody. So for us, we needed those practice days. We need to be playing, but that's the hand that's dealt to us. I'm not making any excuses. The whole country is dealing with the same thing. I looked at the schedule tonight. I don't know how many games I saw canceled. This is the new normal that we're dealing with. So, no, we're not going to be back. But hey, we're going to be where we are, and we're probably going to be where everybody else is. Some of us going to be a little better, and it's all going to equal itself out during the course of the season. But we had very little practice. I think we practiced maybe yesterday was the first day that we had. We had 5 kids one day, 6 kids another day, stuff like that. But the day we had quite a few, but we leave tomorrow going to play North Carolina State. So if you say we physically ready, yeah, we ready. But from a practical standpoint, we probably as ready as somebody. But that's what I'm concerned about. We tested quite a bit and caught quite a bit. But I'm concerned, some people didn't seem to lose a whole lot of players. And that's very interesting scenario for us, I'm concerned. I mean, same thing going on in football. Some of the bowls have been canceled, I mean, I don't know how one team can have a whole lot and another team not have very many at all. That's very interesting.
Corey Clark.
Yeah, Leonard, I'm glad you're doing okay and you felt fine. That's first and foremost. That's the most important. But when it comes to developing a team, I mean, what are y'all doing? Like how do you, when you go through 2 weeks and you don't even know who's on the team and who's available, and maybe coaches aren't even available for all these.
No, you're right. I mean, we had you 100% right. Coaches, we had one coach available.
So is it just individual drills? Is that mainly what's been the last 2 weeks?
When you in isolation, you're not even drilling. You might could get isolated and be on one court for an hour by yourself. But you can't have nobody. It's just you. You're isolated. And those things that was. But everybody, we all went through it. I mean, so this is the new normal. I'd say maybe we had 4 practices, maybe, I think we had, I think I've been to 3 practices since before Christmas. 3. So, but other folks have been through the same. Right. If they're not, they're gonna go through it.
Go to Chris Nee.
Hey, Leonard, on the subject of open dialogue with the team about all of it, do they express some mental fatigue with all of this, especially guys that experienced it last year and dealing with it again this year?
Yeah, we have some, our players express some challenges that they went through. I mean, can you imagine a shutdown, isolation, the loneliness, the boredom, I mean, you're talking about young people. Turn back the clock. I mean, I know you a choir boy and live by the foot of the cross. And when you were 18, 19 years old, but my guys are real guys, man. They like to have a little fun every once in a while, They like to date Tamika, Emily, Alice, Tawanda, but they like to have a little fun every once in a while. But I mean, just socializing. But that didn't happen last year. We were locked in, and we were restricted. Gloves and masks, and hand sanitizers, and spraying rooms down, and you couldn't go here, and it was tough. And going to the NCAA tournament was without fans in the stands, and I mean, it was a challenge for these guys, but they got through it. Then all of a sudden we get ready to start the season, and boom, here it comes again. I mean, and you didn't go home for Christmas last year, and Christmas is a tradition. That's a big thing in America. You grow up all your life. Everybody, what you doing for Christmas? What you getting for Christmas? Santa Claus, and the whole deal, all the family come home for Christmas, all the songs. I mean, that's what we're about. That's what we're about as people. And so now you got 2 years where, boom, now all of a sudden, what? And that's just the psychological, the challenge of dealing with that is I just saw it being a little more challenging second time around than it was first time. And we talked about it, and I thought that we addressed it the best we could, but I also think that the way things played itself out with so many guys going through the protocol, I think that they look back now and saw that we were probably fortunate that we caught things the way we did. And not only, I think they're fairly healthy. I think they feel good about the decisions that were made to protect them and to protect their families. And we've kind of come through it. I just hope we don't have another second round on it, but it was rough. I mean, that was for a team of young people, 2 years in a row. That's just very, very challenging. And you got to respect that. That's why I'm so proud of them, that they're able to maintain the discipline and follow our directions. And, even though it was somewhat stressful, I haven't had anybody really, not handle it in the appropriate way once everything was thought to and communicated.
Go to Max from the FSU. Or Ben from the FSU.
Yeah,
All right, Ben, we're not gonna let you on anymore, man. If you don't have something to talk about.
I got something, Coach, for you. I did want to ask you about the mental fatigue. Actually, that's something I was curious about too. I guess my question for that though is, I know you kind of experienced this sort of stop last year. I think it was January, February, around that time. I guess when you went into the stoppages and everything that happened in the last few weeks, how do you handle that with your players? Is there any extra communication? Obviously you can't meet as a team in person, but what do you do?
That's an interesting question. When you have a collection of 19 different players, you can no longer treat everybody just alike. Each one of you on the screen here, you are different. You were raised different. You who you are as a result of the experiences that you went through. So are my teammates. Some guys have different experiences, so they've grown and matured. They communicate differently. And when you're talking with young people, you try to communicate with them, but each one of them are receiving what you say in a different way in relation to what you're saying affects them individually. And you try to bring them all back to one thought, but sometimes you got to deal with them individually as to where they are in the process in order to help bring them to a certain point. So as coaches, and when you isolate it and you can't have the one-on-one communication, that makes it extremely challenging. And so you have to, one person might need one level of communication, another person might need another way of communicating. So you just, you have those individual personal conversations, and you try to do the best you can to try to analyze, use our experience, to help them through this period. I have a great staff, great communicators. And I think our players know we love them, we care about them. And that's where it starts, when they know you care about them and you're legitimately trying to get the most out of them and you want the best for them. It's a lot easier when you're going through these things, when you're connected from the heart, from the inside out, as far as from the outside in.
Corey, Chris, any follow-ups at all?
Yeah, I had one actually, Chuck. First off, I would like to tell Debbie that I'm a huge fan. You're awesome at what you do. But also, you're not on here. I haven't seen you on here much, so I want to take advantage of that opportunity. But Leonard, when you're coaching a team that hasn't played in 2 weeks and hasn't gotten to practice, I know the standard is the standard, but do you give kids a little more leeway? Like, okay, that's not exactly what we're hoping to do there, but this is a crazy situation you're having to deal with. Like,
Okay,
do
now,
you coach differently?
Corey, this whole year. Now let's go back 3 years. Devin Vassell was the only freshman to play, right?
Mhm.
Then the next year was Patrick Williams was the one we got rotated in. And Pat was never on the floor with 2 or 3 more freshmen. Last year was Scotty, surrounded by some very experienced guys. Now you look out in the court, I got 4 freshmen out there with a veteran. I have to be a lot more patient every day. In other words, this is a new, we haven't been here in a long, long time. Before Bacon and Beasley and those guys, I mean, it's been a long time. So it's the complete reverse of what you guys have been seeing. You've been seeing us work in a few freshmen with veterans. Now we're working in veterans with a whole lot of first-year players. And so the whole level of communication has changed. And I see it every day in practice. You know, things that you take Chris Kamaji, by the time he started playing as a junior and senior, he's pretty good. But y'all didn't see him as a freshman and sophomore that much. You know, I mean, he was, you know, he wasn't very much fun to coach. But we had the luxury of those other guys, you know. So what I'm saying is this is a whole different team that we have now. We go to South Carolina with what, 2 freshmen in the lineup? I mean I mean, Scott is the 4th pick of the draft. He didn't start. You know, we had a veteran out there giving him direction. Patrick Williams, you know, he had some cover. He could watch a little bit and learn from some experienced guys and be able to go in and emulate. Devin Vassell, I mean, he started the year out not playing very much at all, and I think he played 10 minutes a game as a freshman. You know, I mean, guys who are very, very good players. And you have guys who were there for 4 years. You know, might be a little different if say if Boston and Turk was on the team, you know, I mean, but they're not. So you saying, do we have to coach differently? Yes, I'm trying to maintain, you know, this is, you know, I have to, yeah, okay. And not only do you have to coach different in a game, you got to be more patient in practice, you know, and I mean, simple things, you know, flashing with the right angle. And I mean, you know, it's just the little things that you're trying, the habits that you're trying to develop, you know, that, and you just don't develop those habits, you know, in a short period of time in relation to how we play. We've been pretty consistent with how we play. We kind of in rhythm, in sync. And we sputter a lot right now. We sputter, but that's okay. You know, we'll get it back because that's what we do. We like our system. We think we believe in the way we want to play, but you know, right now we're teaching the learning and trying to play it, implement it all at the same time with the majority of your team, you know, being first-year guys.
Go back to Chris Nee for last one.
Leonard, I just want to ask about Tenor. I know he's probably got several weeks before we're worried about him coming back, but has he been able to rehab like normal during the last couple of weeks, or has that hindered his process with trying to work back too?
Well, obviously he has not been able to get into the weight room because it's been shut down. It's been more of a challenge for him, and I'm sure it has slowed his progress because we have not been able to get in the weight room to do some of the exercises and things that we would like to do. I don't think he's going on the trip. He's I don't believe. But he's not anywhere close to, he's walking. He has the boot off, the cast off, and he hasn't even started riding the bicycle. He is. We trying to rehab him at the right pace. So right now, he doesn't fit. How long it's going to take him to get back to the point where he's able to help us? I don't know. We just not, we don't rush injuries.
Right.
And and him being one, him being, he's a second year player, and I'm saying that he's my most experienced guy. So, it's just, so we've had to put Malik from the power forward down to the post out of necessity, but that's the hand that's dealt to you. We'll figure it out.
All right, everybody all set tonight? All right, we're gonna keep Debbie and Drew on, and the rest of you guys could fall off, and we'll talk to you guys tomorrow. We'll do some follow-up questions from me. So, guys, thanks for joining on, and we're gonna give Debbie and Drew, who are doing our TV, we're gonna give you the floor.
Thank you, Chuck. Coach, how you doing?
Welcome, guys.
I don't know, Drew, man. I thought you was a player, man. You look like
What
you're
about me,
15
coach?
years-
I'm a shooter. Come on.